April addition to our in-service today, we have Natasha Pullins, who is a DSS staff attorney, and she's here to talk about her involvement with her cases and what she interfaces with our CASA cases. So, Natasha Pullins.
First of all, I want to thank you all for having me here today. Second of all, this actually helped me to learn a bit more about how my agency functions away from the legal department, because I had to go and interview several staff members to ask them what happens when a case comes in. And so, I know you all have questions as well, most of them centering around, where are they? Why don't they call me back, and why are they never at their desks? So I wanted the answers to those questions too. And I talked to a foster care worker, first of all, because they're responsible for placing the kids in foster care when they come in. So we received an initial report from, or rather the foster care worker receives an initial report about a case where a child has come in. The first thing they're responsible for doing is the initial interview with the child regarding school, clothing, activities, preferences, religion, and so on, about exactly what happened to bring them in. And so then they decide upon a placement. Now, all of that takes a significant amount of time. As a matter of fact, the entire placement activity can take about 7 hours per family, because you're talking about meeting with the child, taking the child's preferences, meeting with the family, taking the family's preferences, and actually finding a placement for that child. And I don't know if you're aware of it, but the average caseload for a worker right now is about 10 cases per worker. And so it can be difficult. They also have to transfer the schools for the child, or notify the schools that the child is in foster care if they're not changing schools. On top of that, they have to have a planning conference within the agency without the parents being present. Besides the cases that actually come in, they have to monitor the existing cases, and monitoring cases consists of several steps that I'm aware of, and probably a lot more than I'm not cognizant of at this point. They have monthly visits with each child, and if the children are placed in different homes, then they have to check on each individual child in each individual home. Some of those visits can take place at a medical facility, some of them can take place at the school, and some have to take place in the home. They also have to have monthly visits with the family, and the family members don't always cooperate with those. At times we set appointments for the families to meet with the caseworker at their home or at DSS, and the family member does not appear for that visit. And other times they don't appear timely. And so I talked to a caseworker who went all the way to Eastover for a scheduled appointment, arrived at the family's home, had made the appointment a week earlier, and the family member was not there, even though they had confirmed the appointment. And so you're talking about 1 hour each way, plus waiting and trying to get in touch with that person while they were at the home. So that's probably about 2.5 hours wasted out of a day. They also have to go to the school to talk about the child's disciplinary problems, which can be significant sometimes when the child's in foster care. They have to talk about any academic issues that the child may be facing, and especially have the IEP meeting every year for each child. Disciplinary problems can probably take roughly, say, 2.5 to 3 hours, depending on the distance for the school, because you have to go to the school, assess what's happening, speak with the child about what's happening, formulate a plan for how we're going to improve that, and then you also have to come back to the agency and make a report about it. They also have to attend the medical appointments of the child, and often the counseling appointments as well. And then you also have visitation with the parents. The parents have to visit with, or are entitled to visit with the child at least twice per month at DSS per our policy, and those visits are often supervised. So on those visits, that's twice a month, 1 hour per visit, you have to go and get the child, transport them to the agency, monitor the visit, take the child back to where they were, and again, make notes in the system about how the visitation went. And as I said earlier, the number of cases is about 10. I counted up the number of hours that it took to work each case, and it was an improbable number. I think that I charted roughly 300 hours of work that needs to be done if it's done properly per month, and they had about 150 hours in which to do it. So I thought that was a rather interesting fact. Then I moved on and talked to an assessment worker at the agency. And the assessment worker, I'm not sure if anybody knows the function of that person, but that's where the case comes into the agency and they have to investigate the case. Those are our tough people. in the agency, always. Upon receiving a report of abuse or neglect, first of all, they can come in one of two ways. It can come in via the foster care, or rather, after the child has been EPC'd, or it can come in just as a report to our office that something is occurring. They have to contact the victim and any other children who are in the family. They have to contact school officials and collaterals, and they also have to contact the parents. Now, they have to speak with the victim before the family gets in contact with them, if at all possible. And there are certain parameters that they set for how long they have to speak with that child. They have 45 days, first of all, in that whole case to decide whether or not it needs to become a court case, or whether it requires additional treatment. And the categories are 12 to 24, which means no significant occurrence has taken place. They may have received a report of, we think the parent is, the parent may be neglecting a child, but there's no real tangible evidence of that yet. And then that's 12 to 24 hours to actually contact that child. Then we have what's called a 0 to 2. Now, 0 to 2 is when something significant has occurred. We get a phone call and they say the child has certainly been beaten, that they have bruises, that they have lacerations or something to that effect, or that the parent has tested positive for drugs. For instance, that may be a hospital case where a baby is born with drugs in his or her system, and we have 0 to 2 hours to make contact with that particular child. Upon receiving an EPC, they have to investigate that case. I'm sorry, do you have a question, Thomas?
Yes, ma'am. Before you get too far,
Sure.
Can you explain an EPC?
Oh, I'm sorry. It's an EPC is where the child comes into emergency protective custody. That can take place one of two ways, and I don't think I detailed that in here, unfortunately, but it can come in through the courts or through a police officer. With the courts, we often have EPCs through Department of Juvenile Justice hearings, where the judge finds out that something in the home is leading a child astray, and that's the reason why they need to come into care. We even sometimes have children have their sentences held in abeyance for DSS involvement to see whether or not we can turn the child around without incarcerating them. At other times, they release the child from DJJ custody into our custody directly because there's no good family member to place that child with at the time, or the family is unwilling to take them back. And so, and as far as the other ways, the police bring the child in, and say for instance, as I was leaving today, there was a car running in the parking lot, and a baby in the car. And I went up to the window, looked in the window, looked around, could not find an adult. Turned out someone was laying down covered up because I went and had to get the police and said, you need to check this car because I think there's a baby in there alone. Now, I came all the way up to the car and looked around, and nobody said anything at all. No one sat up. No one said, I'm in here. But when he went to the glass and tapped on it, they responded immediately. Now, something like that has occurred before. We have people come into DSS and say, I cannot take care of this child. I simply do not have the resources to take care of them. And they may be EPC'd out of the lobby in that way. Law enforcement may have a call on a domestic dispute where they feel the children are in danger and take them in. It often happens through the SROs, that's the school resource officers in the schools, where the child makes a report to guidance or to a teacher, or perhaps even directly to the officer themselves. And at that point, they have these magic words, I am afraid to go home, or they have marks on them. And so they make a decision that the child needs to come into care immediately. If that happens, they may call DSS and ask to come pick up the child, and oftentimes they also bring the children in. I can't tell you how many lunch hours have been disrupted because I was on my way out and saw a baby coming into the lobby and just turned around and went straight back to find out what was happening and what we needed to do about it. So that happens pretty often. Any more questions about that so far? Okay. They also have to investigate it if it comes in as an EPC. They have to contact the victim and the other children. They have to contact the schools and any collaterals that may be involved, as well as the family members. It's a difficult process to have to tell someone that you believe that they may have harmed their child, or that their child may have come to harm while in their care, and no one likes to hear it. And so our caseworkers have to deal with a lot of anger, a lot of emotion besides anger. And so that's why I call them our tough people, because they deal with it on the front lines. when the parents come in, they're very unhappy with DSS. They don't like us at all. They don't understand that we're there to serve them and to help put their families back together. Instead, they just see us as interfering. And so in that, they have to somehow gather information about that child, find out what that child needs and what we have to do to get them better. And that can be tough. They also have to talk to doctors to find out what's been happening with the child in the past and what's happening with the child right now. If we have an allegation of physical abuse or perhaps sexual abuse, then the child has to, we call it ARCed. We send them for an ARC assessment. If that happens, then we have either a forensic or a medical assessment, or sometimes both, in the case, particularly in the case of sexual abuse, but also for physical abuse cases. That can take 2 to 3 hours if only one is being done, or 4 to 5 hours if both are being done. They have to make home visits, have meetings with the family to determine the best interest of the child and what the plan is going to be, and whether or not we can come to an agreement that the child is going to stay in our care for a while, if that's what needs to happen. They also have to arrange and attend the counseling sessions on occasion. So their average caseload is about 10 cases. And they also had an improbable number of hours necessary to get their job done in a given month. Now, the treatment workers, these are the people responsible for trying to come up with a plan for how to make this family, how to get this family in a position where they can actually take care of their own child. Because DSS doesn't want to have to take care of anyone's child. It's a huge responsibility. These children have problems when they come in. They often have problems while they're in. And no one wants to have to take that responsibility, but that's why we're here, because there's no one else to do it. If they get the case from assessment, it's because the investigation is founded, which means that the assessment worker believes that the maltreatment did occur. If they get the child from foster care, it's because the child's been previously removed and is now back in the home, and each of those comes with its own set of circumstances that are sort of difficult to deal with. From assessment, it means that this child has been abused, that we are in the process of trying to help this family put it back together, and that the child is still in the home, and so they have to monitor this family, and they also have to make sure that the family stays on track with the treatment plan, and that they help to formulate that treatment plan and feel like they're part of the process. On the other hand, if the child is back in the home after having been in foster care, well, parents feel like, I did everything you asked me to do. Why are you still in my life? I've completed my treatment plan. I'm no longer taking drugs, or I've completed my safety plan. I no longer spank my child in this manner. And so why are you here? Why do I have to see your face? The truth is that there's a transition period. Anytime you're going to change anyone's behavior, it takes a while for that new behavior to take root and to become a part of their custom. So that's why they monitor the services that are already in place. They make contacts with the family to make sure that they don't need to put any additional services in place that may be necessary. They design and monitor additional treatment plans. They have telephone contacts with the family and with collaterals. They perform staffings at the agency, including staffings with legal. They also call collateral contacts and medical contacts, and sometimes have to go see those people face to face. And they also have to visit all the adults and all the children and make office visits with the parents. I didn't really know what all that entailed, but it can involve a lot. If you are a treatment worker and you need to see your child for every month, family has 4 children, and you go to the home and only 2 of them are present, you still have to visit those other 2 children, which means you may have to make an additional home visit to visit those kids. You may have to have them brought into the agency. You may have to go and see them at school or at daycare, but you have to see each one of them. And so imagine, for instance, that you have a parent who's uncooperative, or a parent who works odd hours and can't really meet with you. 4 kids, 4 different schools, or 4 different daycare programs, and so on. You have to see those children every month. And again, in this case, your average caseload is 11 kids. And so on average, they work about 3 to 4 cases per day. And they have to make sure that they are in contact with each of those cases, and that they have seen every parent and every child by the end of the month. So, what is the solution for getting in contact with your DSS caseworker? first of all, they try really hard to return the phone calls that they get, and they have to, there are certain calls they absolutely have to return that day, especially if they have to deal with the children, and oftentimes they face a great many explosions throughout the day. Email works wonders, and if you do that, then we need you to leave the following information: your name, your contact information, the case you're working on, and what you need. Email can be a wonderful tool, and you can actually craft all of the information that you need into a simple letter. That way, when the caseworker reads your email, they know exactly what they need to go and look up. If you call them and say, call me, or if you email and just say, call me, once they get in contact with you, they're saying, okay, what is it that you need? You tell them. They say, let me pull the file. They go and they find the file. They have to look in it, find out whatever information it is that you needed, and either call you back or get you off hold and tell you what it is they found. They may or may not know the answer to your question at that point because they may or may not have staffed it with their supervisor. But your email is a prompt to go ahead and get that done and get the information back to you as quickly as possible. And so if you can help them that way, then they can definitely help you. Yes?
I understand that's a good point you just made as far as getting in contact with the worker, and I understand that my one case and that worker's case may be 10 or 15 families. Can the supervisor encourage the workers to at least check their voicemail if they come into the office? I know a lot of times the workers, like Mr. Hill, may be out in the field for days, but I know they come in from the field.
Yeah.
Can the supervisor encourage them to at least check their voicemail and return a call
They absolutely can.
within a 48-hour period?
And they do try. They try, but I tell you the truth. I try to staff legal cases with them, and I run them down.
Mm-hmm.
I'll come in early in the morning, and I will go around with my list of cases for that week and ask them, what do you need? And make notes. What do you need? And make notes, because oftentimes they're simply not available for staffings because they're out of the office. And I'm known for finding them, finding their supervisor, finding whoever's necessary to give me the answers that I need on the case. But one of the resources that I think is underutilized as far as the guardians are concerned are you guys. So we see you almost every day. And so if the guardian supervisor knows that something is necessary and that you need some information, well, when you're at that office, you can run to that person's desk and say, hey, my guardian has been trying to contact you about this case. This is the information that they need on it. And they'll be happy to look it up, let you know what it is that they found, and move on from there.
But what do you suggest if I had a bad experience, my first experience with the worker?
Chalk it up to a bad day. We all have them. I've had times where there have been some attorneys, some workers, and so on that I have not seen eye to eye with. I've had one worker come to me and be really angry with me for no apparent reason, and it's because she was having a bad day. But that's what I did. I chalked it up to her not having a good day, and that was a Thursday. On that Friday, we were fine. I walked into the office and she said, "Hi, how are you doing?" And so basically, it's just a process of being able to get over one bad day.
That was good.
So, and I'm sure they can say the same thing about me. So, the next portion is kind of a different way to look at things. I did a couple of complaints for removal, and I need you guys to vote on which one you'd like to go through so that we can get together and sort of role play. For the first one, it's next parte. For this one, on 3/17/09, DSS received a report that Jane Spain tested positive for marijuana, cocaine, and methamphetamines when she gave birth to Crane Spain. Crane Spain initially tested negative at birth. At the time, Frank and Ted, who are two of the brothers, were staying with their grandparents, Jill and Bill Sill. Elaine and Richard II, who are another brother and sister, were placed with Richard and Jill Pritchard, their father and their stepmother. A second test given 2 days later tested positive for the presence of all three drugs in the baby's system. Crane Spain is medically fragile and requires specialized care. Jane Spain has not appeared at the hospital to take part in classes. She has not visited the child since her discharge after the birth. The hospital notified DSS that the baby was ready for discharge, and Judge Pesley Biddle took Crane Spain into emergency protective custody on 4/19/09, so it hasn't happened yet. So that's the first case that we could work. On the next case, We have a non-emergency complaint for removal. On 3/17/09, DSS received a report that Jane Spain was using marijuana. She tested negative for marijuana upon the birth of Crane Spain. Crane Spain also tested negative for the presence of illegal drugs. Jane Spain admitted that she had used marijuana since the birth of Crane Spain. Frank and Ted are staying with grandparents Jill and Bill Sill. Elaine and Richard II were placed with Richard and Jill Pritchard by their mother. DSS opened a treatment case on Jane Spain. Jane Spain has failed to appear for drug testing on 2 occasions. And on the third one, we have an emergency removal. And that one is on 3/17. DSS received a report that Jane Spain tested positive for marijuana, cocaine, and methamphetamines when she gave birth to Crane Spain. Crane Spain initially tested negative at birth. A second test given 2 days later tested positive for the presence of all 3 drugs in his system. At that time, Frank and Ted were staying with their grandparents, Jill and Bill Sill. Bill Sill has been diagnosed with Alzheimer's, and Jill is his sole caretaker. She does not have the ability to care for the children long term. Elaine and Richard II were placed with Richard and Jill Pritchard. Jane Spain still has custody of all of the children. On 3/19/09, police assessed the minor children and placed Frank and Ted into emergency protective custody. Crane Spain is not yet ready for discharge from the hospital. So which one would you guys like to work?
EPC?
The last one? Mm-hmm. Okay, sounds good. Let's see. Okay, now, this is the part that the guardians never get a chance to see, which makes it so interesting, because it's the probable cause hearing. The first thing we do is we negotiate just like the merits hearings and the judicial reviews that we have. For this one, first thing we do is introduce ourselves, just to be courteous. My name is Natasha Paulin. I'm an attorney with the Department of Social Services, and I represent the caseworker, Thomas Clark, in this case. I understand you are not present, that you do not have an attorney present at this time. So the first thing I need to find out is whether or not you are okay with appearing on your own today, or whether you would like for the court to, or just to go straight to court and make an appearance.
I'm okay. I can represent myself.
And you understand that you are entitled to an attorney, and that you may at any point decide that you don't feel comfortable speaking with me without an attorney being present.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, if everyone else will introduce themselves, please.
I am Richard Pritchard. I'm sorry.
Thomas Clark, DSS caseworker.
Richard Pritchard, father.
And you are the father of Elaine and Richard,
2 of them?
from what I understand?
Yes, yes, I am.
And you, ma'am?
He don't do nothing to help her.
Jill Pritchard, Richard's wife.
Well, we'll definitely be asking him to contribute now that the kids are with us, but I know that we're.
Good luck.
with them, but, okay.
I want to make sure these kids are mine. I'm married. I'm happily married.
Okay, so you like attorney test?
Yes,
That's no problem.
because she has history.
A history of what?
Okay, well, we understand that.
Whatever. We're not even here for that today, okay?
Yes.
You deal with your personal problem
let's
at your
just go ahead
own
and stick to
time.
the issues, because right now, we're just looking at what's best for the kids. And so
Right.
if you guys have some personal issues to discuss, we'll be happy to give you time.
Well, I have
to do
nothing
that.
personal with her. I'm saying
No
she has
problem.
history, though. She has history.
No problem. So, and you, sir? You are?
I'm Fred Reed, father of Ted Reed.
So you're the father of Ted, okay? And, let's see.
He's my,
I'm Jill
that's
Sill,
my mama.
Okay,
and right now we have the 2 kids with us,
okay.
Frank and Ted. And this is my husband, Bill, and Bill suffered from Alzheimer's.
Okay. So, I understand that Hank isn't here today, is that correct? Does anyone know his whereabouts?
Unknown, try to contact me.
If anyone can find out his whereabouts, then we'd be
I
happy to
haven't
get that
seen
information.
Hank in 5 years.
Do you know anyone who might ask for contact information for?
No.
And this is also important that we get as much information as possible at that initial meeting, because the parents are often a bit more forthcoming at the courthouse than they are at the initial family meeting.
Oh, really?
So, let's see. Now, I'm sure everyone understands why we're here today, but if you need any further explanation, we'd be happy to give you that. Okay. No one has any questions?
No, I don't.
Okay. Great. Well, in that case, now the kids are in our custody for now, and at this point.
What you mean for now?
I mean for now because custody is never permanent with DSS. We're always trying to put the children back into the homes if we can put the proper services in place.
As long as you're not trying to place them with these solitary.
You're gonna talk about put these kids back in her home, and she tested positive for drugs? That shows what kind of unfit mom she is.
Well,
Why is she not in jail?
actually,
Excuse
that's
me, I do
something you
not
have
use
to-
drugs, okay?
I think the report said the child tested positive. How did the child get that from
Well,
A&P?
in this instance, that isn't your child, and so.
Thank
let's-
you.
Let's talk about what's going to happen with your kids first of all.
Okay. But first, I want to make sure these are my children. 'Cause again, I was just helping her out.
Well,
And
if,
some-
What you mean helping me out?
so let me ask you a
You
question.
didn't help me do
Are
a
you
thing.
willing- let-
You know
okay,
what?
Let's go
You
ahead
and
and
your little
separate the
woman
two
over
of
here.
them.
Excuse me.
Would you please separate the two of
Let's
them?
go, yeah, calm it down.
You need to talk to him.
So just direct the question to the,
I'm sorry.
to the
I'm sorry.
attorney.
And see, we all work together to help calm people down because oftentimes it's not an easy process. And so, now, first of all, from what I understand, the two children who are in your care have previously been said to be yours, and we don't have those children right now.
Right, I'm taking care of those kids.
Okay, and so the question is, we can give you a paternity test, but what do you want to do if the paternity test were somehow to come back negative? That you were not the father of the children?
Oh, school out, they're not mine. That's
He
mine.
don't pay child support, so it doesn't even matter whether he is or not.
So, what I'm asking is for the purposes of
Who's talking to me
our work,
anyway?
we would have to find a place for the children to be.
There's no need for a paternity test, ma'am.
Well, if he is
Say you
entitled to
time
one-
and me time and him time, there's no need.
Well, he is entitled to one, and so we're going to go ahead and perform one on the putative father.
Thank you.
And
Why you
so-
wanna go through
No
that? Why you wanna
problem.
put my kids through that?
I'll say one word.
Well, don't worry, your children won't be
David.
harmed in any way.
That's all I
Your
gotta
children
say.
won't be harmed in any way. So, the question is, when can you appear for a paternity test?
Whenever time you need me to do so.
Okay, wonderful.
Okay.
In that
Who's
case,
gonna
we'll
take
go
my
ahead and
kids
set
to
that.
go take this test?
The social worker will transfer your children, that's not a problem. It's considered to be a medical appointment, and so we'll have that
My
done.
kids are not going through no paternity test.
Well, actually, I'm sorry, now that.
I'm not gonna put them
The
through
The
kids
this.
are
children
with
are
me.
not, the children are not in our custody, and so you would have to transfer.
I'll bring the
children.
kids
I
up there.
apologize for that.
She ain't got nothing to do with this.
Okay,
They're my kids.
but we still have to make a determination about their well-being, ma'am. So, now, I
You gonna
understand.
let him do this to my kids?
Don't answer this, don't answer this. We get-
Ma'am.
I can't believe.
Wanna talk? Yeah, we're just trying to determine the best thing for the children. So what I wanna know
The best thing
now.
will keep these kids
I
away
actually
from
wanna
her.
try to get my kids back.
Back.
What can I do to do that from his house?
From his house?
Mhm.
Well, the children are placed with him right now, and for right now, DSS believes.
Because of her drug
that-
problems, because of her drug
Okay,
problems.
thank you,
This
sir.
lady can't even spell treatment. She has
Thank you,
been to
sir.
treatment.
Actually,
She wants to
Right
go
now,
to
what we'd
treatment.
like to
Attorney,
do-
direct your
what we'd
comments
like
to
to
the
do
attorney.
Is to,
And
try
we need you to
and,
calm down.
what we'd like to do is to try and get you some treatment services put in place. And you can begin those treatment services as of now, or you can wait until after the merits hearing.
I really
to put
don't
them
even
in
need no
place.
treatment. What I need is my kids back in my home.
Well, I'm sorry, ma'am, we can't recommend that, but you have the right to dispute that with the courts. Right now, what we're really recommending is that the.
I really
LSU
think I need
children-
an attorney.
Okay, well, I'm sorry, I can't speak with you any further. If you'd like to speak with these people, that would be fine, and, we can go.
So
into
you're
court
just
and
gonna
make a
dismiss me
determination.
like that because I asked for an attorney?
I can't speak with you any further, ma'am.
Excuse me, when we gonna talk about my kid? I mean,
course.
I'm here for my kid. I mean, she's obviously, I mean, she's on drugs. We all know.
Mhm.
Well,
Oh my God, where did this clown come from?
Okay,
I mean,
well,
Where y'all pulling these men from? Oh my
I
God.
can say, but I'm a Christian man.
right now, Ted is in DSS custody because, he was with his grandparents, and apparently his grandparents are not able to take care of the child right now. So what I want to know
Mama, can you
is,
say
what is it
something?
that you would
I'm
like to
taking
do
care of your dad.
about that?
I can't take care of your kids
well, I mean, I
too.
want my son if I can have my son.
Okay, well,
I just don't want her to have my son.
okay.
All because of drugs, you're taking my kids?
And
No,
so,
I mean, you obviously high all the time.
It doesn't
You
matter
can't
how
hide
I
that.
am.
You
It
can't hide
doesn't
that.
so
matter.
I just have a
How
few
you gonna
questions
take
about
care
your
of kids
home.
and you high?
Talk to the
Mr.
attorney,
Red.
please.
Mr. Red.
Mr. Red, please direct your
Mr.
comments to the
Red.
attorney.
I'd just like to know, do you have
Just speak to the
enough
attorney.
bedrooms for the child in your home?
Well, I just got one bedroom right now, and I'm living by myself, you know, but, you know, I'd sleep on the couch for my boy.
No, you're not gonna get my kids, okay?
Well,
You
you're not
do
gonna
what you
get my
do
son.
best
So do
and
you
be
have-
ghost,
is there
okay?
anyone
You're not
else?
gonna get
Is
my
there
son.
anyone else living in your household?
Well, just me and I got a little roommate, little situation.
So you do
I
have
mean,
a
it's
roommate,
nothing that would prevent me from getting my son.
but you do have a one-bedroom place with a roommate.
Mhm.
Okay. We'll have to go ahead and staff that at the agency to find out whether that's going to be the best placement. But for now, can we agree that you'd like to leave the child in care for now until we can find out what's happening?
My kid's gonna stay with my mother.
I can't speak with you any further.
Well, forget, I'm gonna
You
represent
wanna move
myself
forward
today.
today?
Can
Yes,
she go
I
to
do
jail
wanna,
for doing
move
this?
forward today. My kids are not going with him or him, okay? He can barely take care of his wife, so I'm not hearing
So
that.
the question
My mama
is,
take
do you
care of my
all-
kids,
So the
thank you.
question is,
Oh, so your mama
My
take
mama
care
take
of
care of it, that's none of your business.
so this Spain, the question is, would you like to, first of all, would you like to go ahead and participate in treatment at this point, or would you like to wait for the merits hearing?
Why I got to go through all this?
Is you dirty?
Can she go to jail for doing this?
That's not a matter for us to decide, sir. That's for the solicitor's office to decide.
Y'all can't lock her
How
up
long
or
will this
anything,
treatment-
recommend something to the
We don't
cops.
have that, we don't have that.
I can drop a dime and get a reward too, I bet, right now.
Well,
She's
She's obviously hiding.
She holding it now, I
I'm
bet.
not sure about that, but
I
right
don't
now,
know
we're
why
just trying to
everybody's
do a position where she
against
can
me.
take care of the
I'm
child.
just doing my best to take care of my kids.
Come on, Kendrick, you gotta get yourself together.
How long is treatment thing gonna take? I need my
Depends on
kids
you.
back.
It varies based on
You
the
gotta
case.
take random drug tests.
Even if the
All
kid's not
classes.
in my care, I got to take a test.
You want your kids back, right? Are you willing to work a treatment plan before I put it all in place?
And that's all I gotta do is take a drug test and do this
And
alcohol
go do
stuff.
the assessment, drug and alcohol assessment.
She can't get a job, she can't get paid.
And this drug screen is gonna be deemed a positive.
You work on your treatment plan.
Okay.
I
Can you
got
tell
the
us-
kids.
Can you tell us by any chance who the father of Crane is?
She don't know.
Well, she hasn't been forthcoming so far, but I'm certain she knows.
I don't know how.
She came to, she was hiding, I know.
You wasn't even there, okay?
But I know you was hiding.
Could you share any information about Crane with us, about his father?
That's what you call occupational hazard.
Well, he's actually right. I don't know.
I
Okay.
mean, man, you can see she's hiding.
Well,
It's obvious that she's hiding right now.
if you can
I'm
give us,
just trying to make it.
if you can give us the names of the kids, we'd be happy to make it, to give any tests that you needed. So,
They don't need a test.
okay, so we're agreed that we're going to be keeping the children in custody for
Yeah,
now.
I think that'd be best that you keep my kids.
And we'd like to perform a test, perform
I
a
take whatever
background.
test you want me to
You
take.
can test them tears. You can test them tears. I bet them tears probably highest.
We'd like to perform a background check on all willing and suitable family members and friends who might step forward to take care of the children.
They all in
Do you
jail.
have any names that you'd like to put forward?
No, ma'am.
None at all?
I just want them to stay with my mama right now.
I'm sorry, that would be ideal if it were all possible, but with your father's medical condition, we simply can't place that burden upon him right now.
Have you asked her?
I can't take care of him and your daddy at the same time. It's just not possible.
But have you?
Can I talk to my mama right quick?
Of course.
Baby and daddy don't even know who you are.
Make me cry.
Mama, please do this for me. I've asked you to too much.
I can't.
I don't want that kid staying with them people.
And your babies.
Can I at least visit them while they with my mama?
I can't take care. We
The
can't take
children are
care.
actually in our custody, and you can visit
But you
them.
placed them with her.
We couldn't care for them anymore. And we couldn't find you.
See, she didn't even know where her kids were.
But you can certainly visit with them. As a matter of fact, you're entitled to a visit within 5 days of them coming into care. And you're also entitled to 2 visits per month for 1 hour per visit, supervised for DSS policy.
She ain't gonna show up.
But you have to call your caseworker, Mr. Clark, to arrange for a visit. And once you do that, then he'll set up a visit for
I
you and
can
transfer
visit
the
my
kids.
kids.
Yes. Mr.
Now-
Clark, don't even waste your time, man. She ain't gonna come.
With regards to the other children, they would also have to have supervised visitation, at least that's our recommendation. And so, would you like?
What,
for
that
us-
trick coming over to my house?
What I'm asking
I'm
is,
not
would you like
even
for us to
worried
set
about
up
him getting his
visitation?
Y'all
kids
just have to
because his
find a
wife
common
have a
area.
criminal record.
You can have a common area, or for that
I'm not
matter,
even worried about
I'll
my
take her.
kids going
She
to
be-
your house. You check
I-
your wife
I-
criminal
for
record.
that matter, if you like, we could also have those children also appear at DSS for visitation at the same time, that way you can have a sibling
I'll take
as
a
well.
picture and bring it. I'll send you a picture of it at the class with my kid.
Can
You
I
gotta
do
start
something to
just
keep
teaching
my
them
son
stuff.
from visiting with her? Is it something I can do?
I'm
Somebody
afraid
I
for my
can
kid,
call?
right. I'm afraid.
She's obviously a junkie.
We can
Everybody's
reasonably-
against me right now. All I want is my kids back in my care.
But you
And
can't
that's what
take
we
care of
want
them, you
as well,
stay
is
high.
take care of them.
And
But
you
the
stay in a
thing
1-bedroom apartment living with your friend.
Yeah, but I mean, that's none of your business, though. I'm trying to get my son.
Right, you
I-
doing
you
you.
know, Yeah, I'm doing what I'm supposed to
Do
do.
you?
Okay.
Mr. Clark, she ain't gonna show up, man. Don't waste your
It
time.
sounds as though
man.
we do have an agreement on the essentials of this case. You're going to enter treatment, that we're going to keep the children in care for
When
them.
my treatment start.
As soon as you wouldn't agree, when we leave it today, you can go get your assessment done.
And that we're also going to have a paternity test done for you,
Can I
sir.
wait the
And that
next
you're
week?
going to keep the 2 children for now.
Correct.
And that the other 3 children.
Don't I
well,
get
the
some
other
child
2
support for
children
that?
want
Don't I
to
get some child support from her?
remain. It would be unlikely that you would receive your child support.
What kind of benefits can I
At
get
this
for
point,
them?
and we usually set child support at the merits hearing. As
What
far
kind of
as-
benefits can I get for them now, though?
Well, as far
These
as
kids
benefits
eat.
are concerned,
You ain't gonna
Can't
get
do
her.
that.
She gonna try to pay you in crack, man. So, I mean,
DSS can't
you
offer you
know,
any money for the children, and your only money would come from the mother, and we usually set that at the merits.
Are you finished?
So again,
That's it.
my mama take care of my kids.
I got to go. I got a job up in a bit.
Now, I mean, I'm gonna need you to go take the assessment when we leave.
Actually,
I got a job now.
we're going to need to make
Ma'am,
a fast appearance in the courtroom. It's not going to take more than 5 minutes or so. The judge is going to
What
ask
time
you a
is
few
it?
questions.
What time is it?
She's
Ask
going
what
to
kind
ask
of
you.
job she got.
Casa, where she going?
Right, right. You know what kind of job she on.
You know where she going.
Well, the judge is
Do
going
you
to
want
ask
your
you.
kids?
I'm trying to keep a
You
sister
want your-
down. I have a
nobody
job
doing that.
interview
Well,
at 2 o'clock.
Let me just tell you all what all the judge is going to ask, and it'll be very quick. The judge is going to ask you how much school you completed, whether you feel as though you can represent yourself competently today.
School.
She's going to, yes, whether you
The
completed.
only way she got out of 3rd grade, she burnt the school
And
down.
so then, they'll also
Well, crack pipe.
ask you whether or not you are on alcohol or drugs today.
Oh,
And
please.
whether you feel as though you have enough life experience to represent yourself competently in this matter. And also whether or not you'd like to have an attorney appointed for you.
I mean,
So-
it doesn't matter if I'm high or not. I gotta go through the treatment anyway. So if I'm high today, I
When
don't even
last
have
time
my
you
kids
used-
in my house.
Last
So it don't
time.
even
When the last
matter.
time you
Before she walked in here.
Maybe yesterday, just a little bit. But it doesn't even matter. I agreed to the treatment plan. What more can they do to me? They already took the kids.
Okay.
Put her in
Well, it
jail.
sounds as though we have an agreement, so let's go ahead and go
My
into the courtroom.
God.
Do we have to be here for the rest of this?
No, ma'am, you don't.
Can I ask his wife not even be in court?
Hey, no,
She's
you-
not even a party to the
Actually, no,
case.
she is a part of the case because she's a caregiver for the children.
She taking care of your kids, doing a better job you ever can.
So we have to have her.
That's not what they say when they come visit me. Y'all need to check her house.
That's you hallucinating.
Well, let's go ahead and go into the
Can
courtroom.
we have
and get
somebody
started.
look into her house?
Well, let's go ahead and go into the courtroom and get started. We don't have any allegations against them at this
I'm gonna
point,
get
so
you
we have
back.
no reason to do
I'm gonna
that.
get you back.
So, thank
I
you all,
will
and I'll
keep
meet
you
you in the
first.
courtroom.
Thank you.
So, as you can see, so as you guys can see, this can be rather interesting at the probable cause time. By the time you see the parents, they're pretty calm, usually. They've been through a bit of the process, and they understand we're not necessarily the enemy or out to get them. And so they calm down considerably. At this point, however, the emotions are still raw, and sometimes people still have a lot of questions about exactly what happened in the case and why we're here in the first place. So that's the part that you guys missed, and I can't wait until next time when we go through the merits and the judicial review as well. So it's been fun. Natasha Pauling signing off for DSS, and thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much.